Hi, my name is Sanford, and I'm a prevention specialist and a school-based therapist at Foundations Behavioral Health Services. And I just wanted to get on here today to just do some simple education regarding social media safety, specifically for our youth and young people. But a lot of this might even be beneficial for some of the adults that you have in your life as well. And this presentation actually was put together by some of my students from the Mercer County Youth to Youth group. So they're 7th through 12th grade students that I work with who really want to be role models in their community. Their motto is Youth Empowering Youth, to make good choices regarding alcohol and drugs, suicide prevention, bullying prevention. So just a really awesome group of students that I get the opportunity to work with. So we just felt it was really important. Social media is huge. People are all over the internet. People have all kinds of apps on their phone, including teenagers, and even people who are younger than teens have access to these. And it's really important to have some knowledge about this, the safety-wise and stuff like that. And I wanted to just share some information with you. This will be one of a few videos. I'm going to kind of give it to you in little sections because some of it can kind of be overwhelming. So this presentation, like I said, was put together by the Mercer County Youth to Youth students, but I will be just giving part of that today. We just feel like it's super important to kind of, as a reminder for parents and caregivers. And first of all, hang in there. You can do this. I know some of you are experiencing schooling from home for the first time. You will get through this. Reach out to the teachers if you need to. Reach out to friends. Try not to socially distance yourself from the support that you could be getting, if that makes sense. Yes, we can't physically be around many people right now or go places, but you can still be connected via phone and stuff like that. So just reach out for support if you need. And of course, if you need help, if you're in a crisis situation, Foundations Behavioral Health Services, we're one of those essential services that is still going to be open. So give us a call, stop in. We're here to help. We're all going to get through this together. It's going to be okay. So I'm going to go ahead and try to screen share and start the presentation now. All right, as I introduced myself earlier, my name is Sanford. I'm a prevention specialist at Foundations Behavioral Health Services. I'm also a school-based counselor, and I'm also part of the Mercer County Prevention Coalition in the Mercer County Youth to Youth group. I'm an adult ally for that. All right, so the first question is, what is social media? I know this might sound kind of silly, like a silly question to ask, but I know when we first started doing this presentation, my eyes were kind of open to how narrow my definition of social media was, and actually how large the definition is. So on dictionary.com, the definition of social media, first of all, it's a noun. So it is websites and applications that enable users to create and share content or to participate in social networking. So that would include things like texting, instant messaging, apps like they already said, websites, pretty much any way we communicate with a device. All right, so this is kind of interesting. I actually got this from a seminar that I went to. So these are the most popular social media sites for ages 13 through 24, and they're not in any particular order. Okay, so we got Snapchat, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, Pinterest, Tumblr, WhatsApp, TikTok, LinkedIn, and YouTube. Like I said, these are not in any particular order. And what's really neat, when we do this presentation with a large group of people, it's very interesting to see the dynamics. Okay, so what we'll typically do is ask everybody to think about, count on their fingers, like how many of these do I have, like how many of these maybe do I have on my phone or one of my devices and that I use. So we will say, how many of you have 2 or more, 3 or more, 4 or more. And the very interesting thing is, especially when there's teenagers or young people in the crowd, is that the parents' hands will start to go down, like that they don't have as many, and the students' hands will stay up, okay? So it's kind of, I think it's a little eye-opening to the parents to realize, you know what, some of my kids are on some of these things that, first of all, I don't even know what it is, okay? And these are only 10 examples, okay? There's way more stuff out there. These are just just a few examples, okay? So it's really important as parents to be aware, first of all, what your students maybe have on their device and what they're using. And also to have those conversations, maybe like just to learn more, like, hey, like, what is this? What does this do? What's the purpose? How does it work? Okay. And even to do some of that research for yourself, because it's really good to be one step ahead of your teens, even if you're literally one step. You might find out something a day before them, you know? So because it's a lot easier to be proactive instead of reactive. And finding out later, oh my gosh, they were on that. I had no idea that had that capability. So once again, prevention is super important. It's way better than having to deal with the problem later on. So whatever you can do as a preventative member or a preventative measure would be very helpful in this. All right, so this is actually, we have printouts of this if you would be interested in having it, that our youth to youth, some of our students from the Mercer County Youth to Youth group actually put together. Just some, once again, there's way more apps than these, okay, that you should be concerned about, but these are this kind of gives you a variety to have an idea of what's out there and what some of the capabilities of. And with any apps, there can be good and bad things, okay? But what we have to remember is, you know, some of these may be appropriate for adults, but some of them not so appropriate for teenagers for many reasons. First of all, because their brains don't work the same way as ours do, okay? So what we know, like, hey, like I could get addicted to this if I, you know, if I'm on it too much or whatever, and maybe even as adults can recognize, you know what, whoa, like I was just on my Facebook for an hour and wasted time, and I still didn't even do what I was going to do, right? But teenagers' brains, they work differently than ours. They're more likely to become addicted to drugs and alcohol and that kind of stuff, but then also to stuff like this. Their brains are still trying to figure those things out. So, so once again, with any app, you can have good and bad things that happen with it, okay? So Yubo is one of them, and it's an app that actually allows teens to chat with strangers around the world, and there can also be some inappropriate content sent as well. There's Vora, which is the easiest app to use when it comes to tracking fasting. So this app can possibly lead to anorexic or bulimic behaviors in young people, okay? Once again, their brains work differently than ours do, okay? So as an adult having this app, it would probably be appropriate, you know, as long as you're not becoming super obsessive about it. But some teen girls, you know, they might be comparing, well, hey, my friend, oh my gosh, like, look what she did versus what I did, and maybe I need to lose more weight. It can be dangerous, okay? Snapchat is another one, all right? And with Snapchat, users can send photos that disappear after the recipient opens them, okay? And it can present a risk of being bullied or sending and receiving inappropriate pictures or messages. It also allows users to see your location if those settings are turned on, okay? There's literally like you can open it and you can see where all of your friends on Snapchat are. Like it kind of gives you like a general location of where they're at. Okay, it could be very dangerous, especially if they're friends with people who you don't know or they don't really know very well. Okay, and the disappearing part is what can be very scary. Okay, they say it disappears, and as you know, us adults, we know that everything on social media, like anything that's posted, anything that's said, it can be retrieved in some way. And I've actually had conversations with teenagers about this particular thing, and they are so convinced, well, like it disappears, like nobody can get it. Like if I send that picture, nobody's able to, you know, to get it again. Again, their brains aren't wired to know, like, you know, it hasn't really disappeared. you may not be able to see it, but anybody else can still access it. And the thing with Snapchat, just an example, like if I share a snap with somebody, they can actually they can save that snap, they can like screenshot it and save it, and it typically alerts the other person that I saved that, okay? However, there are some like apps and other devices that can actually make it like I could save that and it wouldn't tell the person. So like I'm sure some of your parent brains right now are thinking, oh my gosh, like, you know, what kind of things could happen like this, okay? So, and something real quick with most of these apps, I'm sure there's some exceptions, but most apps have an age limit on it. And that age limit is usually 13 or older, okay? So first of all, if your young person is on one of these and they're under 13, chances are they had to lie when they signed up for it, okay? So like they had to like put in an age or whatever. So you allowing them to have that still is kind of like being like, you know what, like it's okay if you lie type thing. And most teenagers know why there's age limits. Like I've had this conversation with several girls I know, clients and stuff, and they know why there's age limits because of the inappropriate content that can be on it. Because some of them have seen it themselves or have been put in some really uncomfortable situations. So there's reasons that there's age limits, okay? Because certain things are filtered out for certain ages, but if they say they're 15 and they're really 12, it can get a little dangerous, okay? So TikTok is it's a very common app. I hear a lot of teenagers talking about it on a regular basis. So this app is short lip sync videos with, and it can have all kinds of different videos. Some good, some bad, like we talked about. But they could have stuff like self-harm themes, drug and alcohol use, blunt sexual references, explicit language, and lyrics, and even dangerous behavior. And there's other, and with all of these, there's other like similar apps that maybe are considered safer for younger people, stuff like that. LiKeE, LiKEE is one that's very similar to TikTok. I know some elementary students who have it, and they've actually used the words, but it's safer. It's safer. But I've also talked to some elementary students that have proved that it's not safer because of some of the stuff they told me what happened on this. So just because something's deemed safer doesn't necessarily mean it is. This next one is something that was a little alarming to me as a parent myself. As simple as it may look, this app can be used to hide other apps within it. So for example, if your child isn't allowed to have a certain social media account, or maybe they took an inappropriate picture that they don't want you to see, they can actually put those things in this app, okay, to hide it. And the thing with this calculator app in general, like it actually works like a calculator. It works and acts like a calculator. It looks like one. You can add, you can subtract, that kind of stuff. And then there's a special way to get into the secret part of it. Okay, and there's many apps like this, but this is just one example. Twitter is another one. Some of you have probably heard of this. It can be an easy way to harass others using slander and racial slurs, those sorts of things. Instagram has been known to lead to depression, anxiety, and low self-esteem. So this is typically pictures and videos. So users often compare themselves to fake Photoshop pictures of others, okay? So, and I would just make a general comment, and especially what I've seen, like with doing some, being a counselor as well, is that social media has definitely had an impact on self-esteem in general, for teenagers especially. I see a lot of anxiety that's increased as well, and depression as well, just because there's so much comparison, and even us adults, we probably see it, typically we don't post the like horrible parts of our day that happened, right? It's all like, hey, I went on vacation today or last week or whenever, and I did this and I did that, and I was with my family. You know, we hear all these great things that people partake in, but sometimes we don't always see the other side of it. And once again, teens' brains work differently. So if they're constantly seeing people going on vacation, or oh my gosh, look how amazing they look, they don't know, first of all, that that girl spent 3 hours on her makeup or had to take 5 pictures before it actually a picture turned out well. So just these are just some conversations we can have with the young people in our lives, just to help them realize that, you know, it's not always what it looks like, and their life's not as perfect as you might think it might be. So YouTube, once again, can be super helpful. Okay, there's really great things on there. You know, you can learn to do about anything on YouTube. Okay, it's been very beneficial for my family, I know. However, unfortunately, with the good also comes the bad. So there's videos about teaching about how to self-harm. There's even one called How to Commit Suicide the Cool Way. You know, just some stuff that can definitely be very alarming. And with YouTube, I've noticed, you know, you can have a video pulled up and then a lot of times another video plays right after, and sometimes they're not connected at all, and you go from an appropriate video to a not so appropriate video, or there's those videos on the sides that they suggest you to watch and stuff like that. So just something you can be more careful with. And you know, there's something called Kidsto, which is supposed to be safer, but I've also known people that it's not safer. You know, they've had problems with that as well too. So there's so many things that we can do to keep our kids safe, and the biggest thing is to have that conversation with them, to have an ongoing dialogue with them about like what they're using, checking their phones if you need to, sitting down alongside them and having that conversation, because it's so important. It's that conversation's huge. Okay, that trust, building the trust. Facebook is another one. This is probably one of the most popular ones among adults. However, like, some bad things can happen, you know, with identity theft, fake friends who aren't who they claim to be. Information can be shared with third parties. You can also video call and send chats through Messenger, which a lot of teenagers, like, some of them just have a Facebook account for that reason. Okay, so they may have Facebook and you're like, oh, like, I'm surprised they have Facebook, because they like never use it. But some teenagers and even adults even specifically have Facebook because of the video call and being able to chat through Messenger. Okay, so if a student might have a phone but no minutes, or not a, you know, no minutes and not a phone number, but they can use Facebook Messenger to video call with their friends if they have data or in their Wi-Fi, stuff like that. And they can still chat with them. So it's kind of a way of texting, but a little bit different, if that makes sense. So, all right. So earlier I was talking about the secret calculator, and so I have an iPhone, and I typed in my app store secret calculator, and there was a bunch of options that came up that were things like secret calculator. Some of them are photo vault, secret calculator. There's even more. So, and I went to Google and I actually just typed in apps that hide apps. And this is one of the this top 10 best apps to hide other apps came up, and there was so many more things that came up. So once again, parents, we need to be kind of a step ahead, just to know what's out there, to check into things if you're not super familiar. And like I said earlier, just have those conversations with your youth and your young people to build the trust, to let them know that you care, you're interested in what they're doing, even if you really have no clue what they're doing or understand a lot of it. There are resources out there, and be looking for another couple videos. I'll be putting out another couple videos in the next couple weeks regarding social media safety, but I'm going to leave you with this one right now because this is a lot to take in. But our students did spend a lot of time putting this presentation together and getting the resources and the information. So we really want to be able to share that with you. And so thank you so much for joining today. And I'm so thankful that you took the time out of your day to learn a little bit more about how you can protect yourself even and your students and your young people in your life regarding social media safety and just being aware of what's out there and how to keep yourself safe. Thank you so much for joining me.